ASMR Coffin Radio.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Coffin Radio. I am Hart Throb Rob, and today we're talking about the new Peacock series, Dangerous Breed. This really chronicles Teddy Hart and ends up leading to a missing person case. We can get into that, but it stars Teddy Hart, a third generation wrestler from one of the most famous wrestling families of all time, the Hart family. And it has this director who chronicles Teddy's life for 10 years that ends up leading to this missing person case, Samantha Fiddler, who goes missing. But, besides that, like I said, it chronicles Teddy Hart for 10 years as someone who's kind of at the time trying to make a comeback of his career. And, who's got, one of the greatest wrestlers, one of the greatest wrestling families that he comes from. But it seems like Teddy's really in his own way a lot of the times, Maybe he doesn't listen to reason. But he does show this pattern, as we chronicle his life. As first he's dating this woman, Faye, and then they get into a polyamorous relationship with this lady named Michelle. And you think things are going well, and this relationship, but it ends up where they accuse him of sexual assault and fucking taking them hostage and all this crazy shit, battery and stuff. And it really paints this light as, you think Teddy's kind of like a cool guy, he comes off like nice and smart enough, and, he knows what he's talking about, and he's a great wrestler, and he doesn't seem like he's a fucking asshole all the time, just kind of maybe a little bit full of himself at times. But when you see this footage of, like, behind the scenes of things that he's, the way he's acting, is really a fucking trip. But as he's getting in trouble for this, he goes down to Texas and meets somebody. He meets this wrestler named Machiko. It might be Florida, actually. I think it's Texas. But he ends up meeting Machiko, and things are going great with Machiko for a while, and ends up where he fucking, she ends up accusing him as well of being abusive. And dude, you can believe it one time, but when multiple people start talking about you in that kind of manner, and so, you got to think some of it must be true, right? And then so after this assault and the thing with Machiko, and he gets arrested at the border in Canada, he goes down to Florida and starts dating some other girl named Samantha Fiddler. And she's a mother of three real pretty girls, all these girls real pretty girls, and it seems like he kind of promises them that he can get them into wrestling, get them into boxing, MMA, whatever it might be, that he can train them. And he's a great fucking guy to do that, right? I mean, your fucking name carries some weight in the wrestling community. But even with this girl Samantha Fiddler, it's they give him time, effort, money, and she's actually from Canada, and he flies her out to Florida, and he takes her, the girls say that he takes your passport and kind of makes you, he runs the show, and you get out of line and fucking, it's Headlock City, and he'll fucking give it to you. And Samantha Fiddler ends up missing, and the sister's looking for her, and friends are looking for her, and Teddy's like, when he first, when the guy's like interviewing them, talking, he's like, oh man, I've never had such a good connection with this woman, Samantha Fiddler. And when she goes missing, all of a sudden a couple years later, Teddy was like, man, I barely even knew her. I didn't really fucking mess with her like that. She didn't have what it takes. When prior to, he's saying all the exact opposite of that. And while we kind of find out that Teddy didn't have anything to do with her missing that day, or at least where he was in California the day she disappeared in Florida, you can't help but think that maybe Teddy has obviously that he's a fucking liar, and obviously he must be fucking hitting these females. Maybe he didn't have to do anything with her murder or her disappearance or whatever it might be. But you put her in that position. You made it so that she's fucking stranded in Florida without her fucking passport, without ID, and really kind of have her back up against the wall. So, while this doesn't lead to Teddy having to do with her missing person thing, I think it does show that he's definitely a liar. Definitely maybe doesn't have the best intentions for people. I've known kind of people like that where maybe they use certain people around them to get what they want. And it's just a crazy fucking, it's a 3-part series, and it's crazy because, I'm one of those, I'm a wrestling guy, and I've always wondered, why isn't Teddy Hart bigger? Why isn't Teddy Hart bigger? Like, you come from a wrestling dynasty, I've seen your matches, holy shit, like, in 2008 to 2010, like, 12 years ago, you could have been the guy, you and whoever could have put on fucking clinics at whatever fucking spot you were in. And it really makes you think of what if, with Teddy Hart, if you would have stayed out of your own way, or maybe not fucking had to use and abuse these females, maybe you wouldn't have gotten the way you have. Because, he even says, like, when he's recording, he's like, oh, every girl loves a little rape. Like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? But it's just crazy. You know, all these girls, he's with such beautiful, nice girls, and, you know, I'm sure they're painted in a certain way in this documentary, but everyone seems like to be chill enough, bro, until you kind of fucking go too hard. So it just leaves these questions about, you know, Teddy's future, and if, you know, if he's still doing it now. But a good documentary. I think the director kind of makes it a little bit too much about himself, like he's solving a murder. Buddy, get less fucking camera time. We want to see more of the wrestling shit. Other than that, I thought it was pretty good. A good 3-part series. If you know wrestling, it's great. If you don't know wrestling, it's good too. But I thought it was good, man. Let me know what you guys think. We'll talk about it in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, and if you like what you're watching, then hop in the coffin. Follow us on social media at Coffin Radio. Coffin is spelled with a K. And that's all for today.
KSFR Coffin Radio.